something was coming. I didn't know what it was, but I knew it. I could tell by looking at Nathan's face. So that is the beginning of season 3, episode 2 of the Professional Evil podcast. That's not even the name of it. It's the Professional Evil Perspective podcast. I don't even know the name of the podcast we do. This is the quality audio listening you're listening for. I'm Kevin Johnson.
Kevin, I'm Nathan Sweeney.
I know you are. I know that.
Do
I
you?
might not know
Are
the
you
name
sure?
of the podcast. You're the one that's bad at names.
Is this your first time?
So this is season 3, episode 2, and we're recording this right before the season finale of this year's NFL season.
Oh, that's true.
I heard the Super Bowl referred to as
Eagles.
the season finale of a TV show, and I thought it was awesome.
That's fair. Yeah, that's totally reasonable.
Yeah. So today's topic, this is one I've been. Okay, I want to be very clear for people who know me. You know this already. I'm obsessed with the idea of AI, machine learning, augmented reality, all of that stuff, right? And so when a new thing pops up or somebody starts talking about, oh my gosh, AI this, and we all know that AI doesn't actually exist yet, right? Like the thing that we don't know it, some deep dark hole in the ground, the government's got.
I would argue that artificial intelligence exists. Actual intelligence doesn't exist.
Okay, I'll go with that. Like, I've always gotten a kick out of do you know the difference between machine learning and AI? And the difference is machine learning is written in Python and AI is written in PowerPoint. But just recently I've been following this new site and it's brought up what I think is a fascinating idea. I think this version of it is a scam, but and the idea is the site is do not pay. And the what they present themselves as, and I find this hilarious because all of their marketing says your robot lawyer. And then if you go to sign up, it says we're not a lawyer or a legal service, or
really a robot, to be
honest. Or even a robot, right? Like it's totally not. And it's the weirdest dang site I've ever been to that pretends to be legitimate, but really feels scuzzy. So they'll help you. The idea is you got a speeding ticket or a parking ticket. You go here, you sign up for a subscription, and it'll tell you what to file or to say to get out of the ticket. But when you go to the website, it also offers things like, hey, would you like to cancel this gym membership or cancel this magazine subscription or connect with inmates in prison to get married or get a burner phone. The burner phone and marrying inmates are actual menu options at the top of the screen. Like it's like these are so popular. They're the top menu items, right? But here's why I find it fascinating. Ignore the scuzzy looking website. The guy who is the founder, Josh Browder, I think is how you
something
say
like
it.
that. Yeah, I can't remember exactly.
He's like this epitome tech bro that has come out and said, I've solved the world's problems. Well, this one. And he's been making claims. And here's what really got it was he posted out that they didn't say where. They didn't say what state or city or county. They didn't say what court. But that for the first time, they were going to have a lawyer go into a courtroom, and he was going to have like an earbud, right? Like an AirPods,
or
yeah. And everything that he said or she said would be repeated from what the AI do not pay robot told them to say. Okay. So this is the idea, right? You go into a courtroom, you're not a lawyer, but you're representing yourself. And Weekend at Bernie's style. I never saw that movie. I do like My Cousin AI as that. Yes. But that might just be that I really enjoyed Marissa Tomei in that movie. But the fascinating part of that is what he's presenting. Joshua Browder is presenting it as is, legal services is out of the reach of many people. They're expensive. They're right. Like people talk about it. And so here is a way to say, let's democratize or freely offer this
Use
and
tech to make it cheap, make it accessible.
make it accessible and make it cheap. You got to pay for it.
Yeah.
But what I have enjoyed so much after this is, and this is like, I got fixated on this because of the AI aspect. And like you and I've talked about, right? Like the idea of being able to just easily say, hey, wait a minute, my AI assistant just told me that in this county, we're not allowed to do that or something like that. That's actually an interesting idea, right?
Yeah.
But in my opinion, this entire site's a scam. And here's why I say that. This guy is regularly putting out big claims, getting a huge uproar and attention, right? Like when he said, we're going to put the minute he announced that the lawyer was going to do this, a whole bunch of lawyers and judges on Twitter and Facebook, or LinkedIn, or whatever came out and said, that's illegal.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're actually crossing the line. And, which of course let him come back and say, okay, I got all these threats from lawyers, so I've had to back down. But it's just the man keeping you, under their thumb. And I find it hilarious that he keeps getting money from people who are falling for this. But having said how scummy and scammy I think this is, I think the idea is awesome. Not to marry an inmate and get a burner phone, but the idea of being able to just say, hey, how many times have you been in a situation? And I'm not talking like, oh man, I'm going to jail if I don't answer this. But how many times have we been in a conversation, you and I, where we have said, you know what, I bet you a lawyer would argue that, or I bet you the ability to just feed that information to a legal AI assistant and have it actually say, well, actually, in the Jacksonville area, this law would play. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm going to push back a little bit. I think like I've clicked through a lot of the stuff he talks about, like marrying an inmate. Yeah, I don't remember some of the others. There was like property tax discussions and DMCA takedown notices and warranty, like when you're fighting with someone who they offer a warranty, but they're not honoring it, stuff like that. Like all of that stuff is things that I would have to pay a lawyer $300 or $400 an hour to do.
Yes.
That for the most part, they're going to just take an off the shelf boilerplate. I mean, here's an example. I got this right here. This book cost me $1,000. Winners and King. Now you know who my lawyer is. This cost me $1,000 to establish a trust to put some of our assets into. 99% of this it's like ad lib boilerplate.
I disagree.
Well, let me. 99%.
It's not 99%. It's 99.9%.
Okay, fair enough.
It's almost entirely template language.
No, it's. So I added some specifics. They're like, all right, when you die, what do you want to happen? When you I'm like, hey, everybody's wearing tie-dye to my funeral. That's going to be clarified in the will.
Done.
And we're going to have clowns. We're having no.
Have you arranged the woman in black secretively hanging
with the umbrella
right outside?
Oh yeah.
Right outside the funeral area.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. But so here's the deal: like that type of paperwork, it was like ad lib style. Like I read off some things and they fill in the blanks, and then they print off the form. I sign it and all this. We, like you said, we deal with all that kind of stuff. The inmate thing I looked up because I thought that's absurd. Marrying an inmate, why is this related? Well, it turns out in most jurisdictions, you actually have to go to the courthouse as an individual who wants to marry someone in prison, and you have to file this legal paperwork, and you have to pay a lawyer to represent you to do that. And their argument is, hey, we can do this for you. And I don't know how much the AI is involved on the background. I'm guessing not very much.
I think we're talking the same thing.
Well, let me come around to what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think 90% of their revenue, or at least their business model appears to be that 90% of the revenue is going to come from those simplistic, almost completely automated basic things. But I think they're using the big splashy things, we're going to go in front of the court, all this. I think they're using that as a marketing ploy. This is how we're getting people to talk about us.
Yep. I totally agree with you. They're doing it as a marketing ploy. I also totally agree with you that if they were doing those things, look, I used to work for a publisher that was was the publisher of the like do-it-yourself divorce kits, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what
It's
they did.
LegalZoom.
And
It's LegalZoom,
it's
right? That's
Legal
what they're
Zoom,
doing.
right? Which was not who I worked for, but just to be clear,
That
right?
same type of company, right?
Same type of thing. Here's the thing: is why I think this guy is a scam. If you read the people who have signed up for the service,
Mhm.
almost none of them are actually getting what he promises. And I don't mean
How would you
AI.
know
No, no,
that,
no, no,
though?
no, 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 no. I don't mean an AI thing.
Yeah.
The system is actually telling them, okay, we'll get that to you in 8 hours. And then it never arrives. They're
Yeah.
never getting the
Wait,
actual documentation.
are you talking about, like, social media complaints, like people complaining about it and stuff?
No, I'm talking about people I've talked to, people I've that yes, some of it's through social media
Yeah.
complaints, stuff like that, which you and I both know that many of those are just loud.
Well,
But
yeah, I'm just gonna say, like, in that type of setting, the people who get what they want out of it, you're never gonna hear from them. You're only gonna hear from the people who are upset. So,
yeah,
like we have no insight into,
yeah.
really how valuable it is.
I think I think he's a scam. I think what you're describing is absolutely a good idea. I think
Maybe.
I think LegalZoom should absolutely do a Chat GPT type thing
Sure.
where you fill it in, it takes a template, it mashes it together and sends it back out. I think that's a great idea because you're absolutely right. The trust you set up, you said it cost you $1,000, right?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that's an approximate whatever.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact number.
Yeah.
Roughly.
But that type of thing, yeah, that should be so accessible to people.
Yeah.
It absolutely should. We should not be requiring this level of stuff. The um the burner phone idea, as much as I can make fun of the idea that it's on a menu, it actually is presented as a good reason, right? The amount of data collection that's going on, the amount of stuff like that, if you want to protect your privacy some and things like that, the ability to get a phone, these are good things.
Yeah.
Here's what I think needs to happen. We as an information society, I almost said information security, but I'm talking about society.
Yeah.
We as an information society have to figure out how to make AI, machine learning, automated generated stuff accessible to people, but vetted in some fashion.
That's
And
I think that's an important point because the problem that we're going to have, and I don't know that there's a way to fix this.
Yeah.
The law is slow. And the law is very nuanced. And like I remember that one of the times I was on jury duty, the judge said, "You are going to hate this. I can tell you before we even get into this case, there's going to be so much nuance and there's going to be so many particulars, and you're going to think this is stupid." And he said the judicial system is a lot like making hot dogs. If you like hot dogs, don't watch how they're made. He said, yeah, and it's like you will hate the system. He said, but if you are ever sitting in the defense chair, you will appreciate it and you will understand it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I get that. Most people, I think, in today's society don't, because we want to harass people, we want to persecute them. We want to prosecute them.
Yeah.
In social media and the court of public opinion 5 minutes after the event happened. We don't want to take the time to gather the details and understand precedent and all that. I don't see how AI can ever fully comprehend and appreciate that nuance.
No, let me rephrase that. I disagree with you. I see how AI will when AI actually exists. When we have artificial intelligence, it's going to have to be better at getting some idea of nuance better than the masses. Here's what I said. I was interviewed with Scott and Tom from the Shared Security podcast on the Secure Dad podcast. And he wanted I'm blanking on the guy's name. I can't believe I'm blanking on the guy's name. He was a great guy. Seemed like a great guy. Interviewed us, everything else like that. And he wanted to talk about AI stuff. And he said, what is your red flag when AI is a problem? Or machine learning is a problem? And here's what I came up with. And I want to be very clear. I'm throwing it at you because you have a really good way of thinking things through. And this was a off the cuff idea. And so far, it's been a couple weeks since I did it. I still think this is a good red flag. It's not the only one, right? Like I'm not claiming this is comprehensive, but here's the red flag I would look for. And currently I believe we're in it. When AI generation, like the generation of stuff, whether it's content, video, eye contact for actors, whatever, outpaces the technical controls that can detect the generation by AI. Right? So if if I've got a deep fake and we don't have a control that can reliably to some level detect that is a deep fake, then that's a red flag. We have to keep those two, the increase in functionality of AI with somewhat in pace. I don't expect them to be 1-to-1, right?
I said something similar to someone a couple weeks ago. So with like Chat GPT, people are using it for college reports and stuff like this. And I've got a friend in the academic world who has talked about how for centuries we've used the ability to generate content as a way to assess somebody's comprehension of a topic.
Yep.
And you write reports, you do studies, all this kind of stuff. You generate content to demonstrate that. Chat GPT is turning that on its head, because now a professor cannot look at a paper and determine whether or not this was definitively created by you or an AI. Now, as I think where you're going, people have said, oh wait, here we can use math, we can create an AI to determine whether or not this other content was created by an AI. And to me, that's an obvious use case. But I think the next obvious step is going to be an AI that can generate material intentionally designed to not be detectable by another AI.
Yeah.
And of course, then the next step from there,
it's an arms race.
It's an arms race.
Yeah.
But the next step, I think, is the critical one. And I'll call this the fourth generation, is going to be an AI that creates AIs to create content that can't be detected by another AI. It's the ability to generate a new AI that is different than previous AIs. To me, that's where the big step is going to be, because I think if a human creates an AI, you're controlling the input and the material. If an AI is creating the AI, now you lose control over where the input's coming from. And I think if an AI has the ability to manipulate either its own input or the input going into another AI, I think we lose control at that point. I could be wrong. I don't know. But I think that arms race combined with the ability to control its own input, that's where I'm afraid of. I think we're going to get there eventually. But
I see that. I mean, look, Douglas Adams said it. That's where we got the answer of 42, right? They asked the question of the computer, and the computer said, I can't answer this, but I can design a computer who can answer it. And that computer said, nope, I can't answer it, but I can design.
Exactly.
And then blah, 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 42.
I do like the intent of this guy's thought process of
absolutely.
We have all these gatekeepers that are making it difficult or inapproachable for average people to do basic stuff. Like Josh mentioned in chat here, the notary services. I just bought a car today, and I have to pay somebody to notarize the bill of sale to prove that I am who I am and the seller is who they are. Right? Like I have to pay somebody just to sign that document. That's stupid. We have ways to authenticate each other that should not require that. Yeah, we had key parties back in the 80s, right? Which are not the same key parties we had in the 70s. But
I staying out of that conversation.
I was not around back then. Yeah. But my point is, like, it makes sense that we can use AI to do that. We can use technology to do that. I don't know how we're going to find the middle ground.
I'm actually curious about the notary service, because we just had Andrew go through that process of becoming a notary.
I didn't know that. Really? Okay. We have a notary.
Cool. We have a notary on staff because
that makes sense.
Not quite often, but often enough. We have to sign stuff that needs to be notarized. And he has an embossed seal he has to put on the document. Yeah. So I'm not 100% sure how you emboss the PDF.
It's
there are examples where they don't have to. There's it depends on the document, right?
Yeah, and you could mail it, they emboss it, they mail it back. It's no different than GoDaddy taking the SSL certificates and domain names and simplifying the process. I mean, heck, they even used, who was the racer, Danica Kirkpatrick, whatever. Remember the GoDaddy commercials from like 7 or 8, 10 years ago? Right? They did the same thing as this guy. Like, we're going to get up in your face and we're going to use loud, proud, sex, whatever sells. I'm from Oklahoma. I can't speak right. You know what I mean? It's, I don't know. I'm not going to sign this off as a scam yet, but we'll see.
I think the idea will happen. I think there are people other than this guy who are going to do it.
That could be.
Yeah. I totally believe this is the process forward, right?
Yeah.
Like absolutely. This is the direction we are going in.
Yeah. I noticed LegalZoom has not, I haven't seen any comment from them. I think they're going to set back and take advantage of it and let this guy burn the bridges, and then they'll step in.
Well, talk about LegalZoom. Did you see when LegalZoom first came out, the amount of money they had to spend fighting cases proving they weren't doing legal services?
Yeah. Right? We're not lawyers.
My understanding is they spent millions of dollars saying, we're not claiming to be lawyers. We're just providing the documentation people need. Right?
If I remember correctly, there was a big case in North Carolina.
Yep.
They settled with the state. They got it worked out, and then basically they used that as precedent for all the other states.
For everywhere else. And that, I think, jumping back to this particular person, right? This implementation, they're going about the opposite way. They're announcing they're a robot lawyer until you try to sign up.
Yeah.
And so I think they're going to get in trouble. I think there's going to be problems here.
I think so too. I think that trying to use it in court is going to backfire completely. But the best review I've saw, if anybody wants to follow up and get more info on this, Legal Eagle is a great YouTube channel. I love following his stuff. He did a fantastic review of this. It's called something like why the robot lawyer was a horrible idea, something like that. We'll link.
I watched the same video. It was a good. The Legal Eagle YouTube channel is excellent. I'm
one of my favorites. Cool. All right. Well, let's wrap this one up, Kevin. It's fun as always. We'll chat. Chat again later.